The 2020 Northern Virginia AIA Design Awards are sponsored by the following.
Jacobs is proud to be a signature sponsor of this year's AIA Northern Virginia Design Awards program. At Jacobs, we see the world as it can be, working with our partners to make the world more connected and more sustainable for everyone. Jacobs, challenging today, reinventing tomorrow. Autodesk supports design excellence and is a proud sponsor of the 2020 AIA Northern Virginia Design Awards.
Little is a proud sponsor of the AIA Northern Virginia Design Awards, and we thank you for consistently inspiring with design excellence and a shared focus on building a better community.
With the latest in 3D laser scanning technology and a full team of drafting and modeling experts, simplify your process for as-built measuring and start every remodel project off with a great team you can trust. Precision property measurements, accuracy, timeliness, and communication. That's our worry-free promise to you. And by HGA. Rockfawn. Scott Long Construction.
Welcome to the 2020 Northern Virginia AIA Design Awards. First, a few words from our president.
My name is Joseph McCoy, and I am president of the Northern Virginia chapter of the American Institute of Architects. On behalf of the chapter board of directors, I want to welcome you to this year's Design Awards program. This annual opportunity to both recognize and celebrate design excellence among our chapter members is a long-standing tradition and a highlight of our program year. Creativity, technical knowledge, and the ability to give form to visionary ideas are consistent themes in our chapter's award winners, and this year is no exception. Across a wide array of building types and scales, our members continue to demonstrate the transformative power of great design in the communities we all serve. This annual program is a meaningful way for us to acknowledge the work of our peers and demonstrate outwardly the value of our profession in service to those who will live, work, and play in the places that we have envisioned. I am glad you can join us in this celebration and hope you will be encouraged and motivated as I am by seeing this year's winners. I'd like to now introduce the Design Awards Committee co-chairs, Charles Todd and J. Paul Lewis.
I would first like to thank Joe for his leadership of the chapter this year. The members of our Design Awards Committee have been working since January to make sure this event meets expectations. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 crisis, our long-standing tradition of an in-person gala has been replaced with virtual awards for 2020. The committee has worked diligently to capture the essence of the awards and to find ways to enhance the experience digitally. We will miss our annual opportunity to socialize together, speak with fellow members in person, and to congratulate winners on stage. But our goal is to continue to celebrate great projects in our region through these times. I would like to thank our committee who has planned and helped to make the 2020 Design Awards a success this year. I also want to take a moment to discuss the chapter's continuing emphasis and support for sustainability. This year, the AIA Northern Virginia Board has brought together the Committee on the Environment and the Design Awards Committee to advance sustainability. As a baseline to the awards, CODE works to advance, disseminate, and advocate design practices that integrate built and natural systems and enhance both the design quality and the environmental performance of the built environment. We elected to not provide a sustainability award, but rather to integrate CODE principles into the jury review process. Submissions were requested to include narrative within the project synopsis, describing how projects have integrated the framework for design excellence related to equitable communities, economy, and energy as framed by the AIA. The jury considered this narrative in their assessment of each category. J. Paul will now share how the jury session unfolded.
Thanks, Charles. Each year, our chapter travels nationally to a different metropolitan area for the Design Award jury deliberations. Because of COVID distancing this year, we held virtual jury sessions with architects in the Houston area. When weighing potential jurors, we consider architects who represent varied influences and points of view to reflect the diversity of talent represented by our own membership. We are honored to have had 2 exceptional juries this year. We greatly appreciate their thoughtful deliberation. The jury met on July 13th via Zoom to review 120 entries, ultimately selecting 26 winning projects. Our jury sessions were held in the morning and afternoon. The morning jury included the categories of residential architecture, historic architecture, and conceptual unbuilt architecture. The afternoon jury included institutional architecture, commercial architecture, and commercial interiors. Each jury held lively discussions about the projects they reviewed, and we found them to be very pointed in selecting projects that they thought best embodied excellence in design, thought, and execution. I want to convey to all of you that the jury went out of their way to acknowledge and comment on the high quality of submittals received. I hope you'll agree.
My name is Bob Robinowitz, McIntyre Robinowitz Architects in Houston.
My name is Lucina Basilico. I am a principal at Page at our Houston office.
I'm David Buchek with Stern & Buchek Architects.
I'm Nanya Grenader, principal of my own small firm.
I'm Derek Webb, principal at DEK Studio.
When I look for design excellence in a project submission, I'm going to say I look for 3 things. I focus on 3 things. First, I'm going to say composition, and we're visual people. Is it beautiful? Is it presented well on the page? Does it focus on the big picture but doesn't forget those moments and details? Does it say something special and unexpected in a different way? Then second, I'm going to say concept, and I want to equate that with context. What is the story? How is that story communicated? Is it something about, how does that story communicate the design and the architecture? And then thirdly, I'm going to say community. And when I say community, I think this ties both the composition and context, or the concept, together. Does this make a difference in the lives of the people that it serves? Is it relevant to that community? Does it actually function? Does it actually work? And does it make a difference in the way that we live, learn, work, and play?
And now, our Design Awards MC, Paul Erickson.
Thanks, J. Paul. You'll hear more about the jury members throughout the awards program. Each category's awards will be presented in sequence, with the Jurors Citations first, Award of Merit, followed by Award of Excellence. Our first category is for the awards in conceptual and unbuilt architecture. We have 2 awards, and the first is an Award of Merit. The project is Champions Park Hotel, the architect KGD Architecture, and the client is Ray Sho.
We appreciated how this proposition for an urban hotel, Champions Park Hotel, combined not only careful consideration of its primary program, but also considered social interaction for the community at the ground floor entry, as well as the communal space on the roof level. The project was clearly explained with the site analysis and concept development of the 2 massing elements, and we admired the attention to the facade treatment, from the shading elements to the specific glass types. The project seems sensitive to its context, both socially and environmentally.
And our second award in conceptual unbuilt architecture is an Award of Excellence for Puku Hospital. The architect is U+ Design Partners. The client, Puku State Assets Group, Health Commission of Puku.
This award is for the Pukao Hospital in Nanjing, China. The new building plays off the forms of 2 existing buildings and creates this wonderful common space between the entire complex that is a really nice arrival space. And we really appreciated how nature was brought into this project, especially thinking about nature as a healing element within a medical setting. And the form of the building There's a softness to it that we also really liked. The building is sheathed in a lattice grid that's very delicate, and as it forms the parapet, it becomes very lacy against the sky. I think that we all could imagine going out to the gardens either as a patient or a visitor, and it has a wonderful concourse at the first level. And here in Houston, just going to all these buildings here, the sense of arrival in our medical center is so horrible. This is literally like an oasis.
The next category that we're recognizing is for historic architecture. The first award in historic architecture is a Jurors Citation. The project is a Virginia farmhouse. The architect, Muse Architects. The client is private, name withheld.
For the Virginia farmhouse, we actually moved this project from the residential category to the restoration category because of the careful restraint to the original house shown and how unsympathetic past alterations were reworked and new additions added. There were also freestanding additions that were new programming that were placed away from the main house, which also helped to keep the focus on the original structure, and we appreciated that.
The next project in historic architecture is being recognized with an award of merit. The project is Rouse City Hall. The architect, Reeder and Swartz Architects PC, and the client is the City of Winchester.
This award is for the Rouse City Hall in Winchester, Virginia. It's a 1900s civic building built to house various government services, including a courtroom, an ornate theater, and a Masonic lodge. There were prior renovations in the 1950s and 1980s. The design team removed the 1980s postmodern edition, and then their approach was to enhance existing features of the building, and then all the new elements were to be of a more modern vocabulary. And they did this in a very successful way. I think what we appreciated was how every space was just carefully examined and really unearthed for opportunities to express existing elements within the building, whether they're columns or beams, or for example, the existing box office was brought back to life and renovated. And then in hiding the mechanical systems, they used throughout the building a series of ceiling trays where the perimeter walls were left intact up to their full height. So that created a consistent vocabulary throughout the project. Really great project.
The next project being recognized in historic architecture receives an Award of Excellence. The project is the Folger Shakespeare Library. The architect, MTFA Design and Preservation. The client, Folger Shakespeare Library.
Regarding the Folger Shakespeare Library, first, what an amazing example of strict classicism. The jury was very impressed with the sensitivity, rigor of exploration, and the precision of the conservation effort.
So the next category that we want to recognize is for residential architecture. The first award is a Jurors Citation. The project is St. Michael's Retreat. The architect, Jones and Bower Architects. The client is a private client whose name's been withheld.
For the St. Michael's Retreat project, we liked the siding of this house, the massing, and how the interior layout and spaces were resolved. The use of restraint detailing along with the glass hyphens create a reinterpretation of the classic typology that is open and full of light.
The next award in the residential architecture is another Jurors Citation. The project is Studio MP2. The architect, Robert M. Gurney, FAIA Architect. Client is a private client whose name has been withheld.
We could imagine coming to this small dwelling, Studio MP2, behind an existing building of mixed uses, walking through that alley, and arriving at this little gem of unfolding domestic use. The diverse yet complementary materials give cues to circulation and programmatic use. The detailing was well considered, and we also appreciated the presentation itself, with a strong concept and spatial analysis drawings that supported that concept.
Our third award in the residential architecture category is an Award of Merit. The project is 3347 Sheffield Court. The architect, Cook Architecture. The client is a private client.
3347 Sheffield Court is a wonderful renovation of a mid-20th century house. The modifications to the original house lend to contemporary needs while embracing the original design to produce a result that is both respectful and new.
Our next award in residential architecture, an award of merit, Project Auto House. Architect, Cube Architecture. The client is a private client.
From the first provocative glimpse of a new element appearing over its humble one-story garage envelope and context, we came to understand Auto House as a well-thought-out residence that unfolds beyond. The garage has new meaning for a client who embraces the car, and an inserted stair takes us to a very expansive living space. The axonometric drawing reveals how the structure is used in a most practical way, while also layering and giving definition to that large open area. The ordinary is elevated to a new domestic realm. Several of the jurors commented, "I could live there."
The next award in residential architecture is an award of merit. The project is Crooked Bow Tie House. The architect, Reeder and Swartz Architects, PC. The client is a private client.
This award is for the Crooked Bow Tie House, which should win an award just for the name alone. The house is perched on a sloped site at the top of a scenic ridgeline overlooking the great Cacapon River Valley. And this is a project that we kept coming back to as we went through the submittals, and it really stood out. Its angular form was in contrast with most of the other projects that were very orthogonal or rectilinear. And we appreciated the way, as you walked around the house, the form kept shifting and really worked with the landscape. And you can see this as you look at how the house sits on the contours on the site plan. And it also has a very animated quality to it that we liked. And I think the view that really sold us was as you're standing at the rear of the kitchen and you look at this very kind of modest approach where the house is almost compressed at that point, and then it unfolds outward and downward. It's a very nice project.
The next award in residential architecture is an award of merit. The project is Franzen House. The architect, Robert M. Gurney, FAIA Architect. The client is a private client.
The Franzen House, unassuming from the street and glorious from the rear, is packed into a constrained form to minimize the footprint on the landscape, with expansive views of the steeply wooded site.
The next award is an award of excellence. The project, Dual Modern. The architect, Cube Architecture. The client is Janet Bloomberg.
This award is for the Dual Modern House. This is an addition to an existing small mid-century modern house. And what we appreciated about this addition is really just how inventive it is. You know, usually when you're adding on to a house like this, you're confronted with, do you make the addition in keeping with the existing house exactly, or do you do a totally contrasting modern addition? But in this case, it's just a very inventive modern addition, but it still picks up a lot of language of the existing house. And so there's a link that separates the house from the addition, and it stair steps up as the site steps up. And this creates an opportunity for a green roof, and when you look at the cross section through this entire link, you have some wonderful views through the space and across the roof. And the addition itself is 2 shed volumes that have been pulled apart, mirroring the gable of the original house, letting in light above through the clear story windows.
We're also extending another award of excellence in residential architecture for the project Renovation 1662. The architect, Robert M. Gurney, FAIA Architect. The client is a private client.
The jury unanimously admired this renovation in historic Georgetown, taking a small traditional row house and reimagining it as an open modern dwelling. The street facade was respectfully maintained and key interior materials were preserved, all while expanding the program for family needs. In the long, narrow volume, natural light was skillfully brought into the interior spaces. Quality of detail is beautifully evident in the collective areas such as the kitchen and the garden, but careful design decisions extend all the way to the children's bedroom. The project is elegant in plan and section, with a restrained yet rich palette of finishes, from original brick and stone to the new flooring and expansive garden window. All make the experience of moving through the project a spatial delight.
The next category that we're recognizing is for institutional architecture. The first award is a Jurors Citation. The project is Medical and Research Translation, MART, a building and a new bed tower. The architect is AECOM. The client, Stony Brook University, Stony Brook Medicine.
The Stony Brook University building impressed the jury with the well-executed glazing pattern. The scale and design of glazing patterns are tricky and often don't achieve the intentions of the design group. This glazing pattern not only achieved an energy savings, but also nicely broke down the scale of the large building and camouflaged the mullions on the facade. And then as the building turns the corner, the metal panels are very well integrated with the glazing. Well done. Congratulations.
The next award in institutional architecture is also an award of merit. The project is Children's National Hospital, Elsie and Marvin DeKelboom Family Foundation Molecular Imaging Center, the MIC. The architect is HGA, and the client is Children's National Hospital.
The Children's National Hospital Imaging Center was a project that really impressed the jury for its attention to detail and meticulous execution of the concept. The design team here achieved the goal that they set out to achieve. Having personally been in these types of spaces, I really appreciated the rigorous articulation and follow-through of the theme and feel that it really does achieve a sense of distraction and comfort for the users. Although a small footprint, the space has the power to generate quite a large and important positive experience. Well done. Congratulations.
The next award in this category is an award of merit. The project is the Loudon School for Advanced Studies. The architect, Reeder and Swartz Architects, PC. The client is Loudon School for Advanced Studies.
The energy and meaning created between these two buildings, the historic one-room schoolhouse and the new independent school, for me is where the energy and the strength of this project lies. The exterior form wonderfully echoes that of the historic building, and the floor plan clearly articulates the typology or the pedagogy, the type of learning that is going to happen there. For me, the form making is innovative with the geometries, especially with the way the roof captures the two stair towers at either end, creating that beautiful overhang between. And then the rhythm of the windows on the south facade continues that conversation between the two buildings and really creates a spectacular sort of interaction, whether it's day or night. The hope would be that that conversation started by saving the historic schoolhouse is one that goes deeper over time and with the use of the building. So excellent project. Thank you for the work that you've done.
The next award in the institutional architecture category is another award of merit. The project is Marvin Gaye Recreation Center. The architect, iStudio Architects. Client, DC Department of General Services.
For the Marvin Gaye Recreation Center, we admired the architect's skill in taking the liabilities of a very challenging site in the floodplain and using those constraints to inform a design that is sustainable, resilient, and one that becomes a real asset to the community.
Another award in the institutional architecture category is an award of merit. The project is Powell Elementary School. The architect, iStudio Architects, and the client is DC Department of General Services.
Powell Elementary was a project that stood out to the jury for its clever use of simple materials in order to make a statement and bring the issue of sustainability and wellness to the forefront for users and for the larger local community. This project was also challenging in that it had to deal with two existing buildings from two different generations. The design for the addition was successful in being respectful to and harmonious with the previous structures, while creating a building that is definitely of the present. And all of that with a tight budget that public schools tend to have. So congratulations to a job well done.
An award of excellence is being extended in the institutional architecture category to the Tubman Elementary School. The architect is iStudio Architects and the client DC Department of General Services.
Transformational is the word that I would have to use to describe this project on all levels for equity, inclusion, sustainability. The project was wonderfully and simply explained. It hit all the different criteria for contextuality, for functionality, for serving the community. It hit it on all those levels. I'll even say it really does help to show those smiling faces to understand how important the building is to that community. I think what was wonderful about it is the ability to reuse the existing facility space, but to upgrade it for the users. I think what you did was take a building that had daylight but maybe no views, and gave it those views at the center of the courtyard.
The next category is for commercial interiors. The first award being recognized in commercial interiors is an award of merit. The project is 333 John Carlisle Lobby renovation. The architect is KGD Architecture. The client, Grosvenor Americas, DJ Swarlbuck, Vice President of Investments.
The success of the project at 333 lies in the combination of just a handful of key elements. The first being a refined and restrained material palette, consistently detailed from beginning to end. And with the designer's clever lighting scheme, what you get is a piece of architecture that is elevated beyond just a mere interior renovation project.
Our next award in commercial interiors is an award of merit. The project is Convene Hamilton Square. The architect, Fox Architects, and the client, Convene.
Convene at Hamilton Square is a project that hits the viewer at two levels, which is something that as a jury we really appreciated. First, the composition, the materials, the layout, the execution is beautifully done. So at first look, it appeals to you on that macro scale. But then you start to notice all of the exquisite detailing with the red stitching that is carried through at different scales in the project. That attention to detail and execution is a differentiator between this and other interior projects. Well done. Congratulations.
The next award in commercial interiors is an award of merit. The project is Noblest, Washington, D.C. The architect, Smith Group, and the client is a private client, name withheld.
What struck us about this project was the actual interior architecture, that you were actually sculpting space, and it wasn't just about the application of products to surfaces. The aviation concept was strong and kept throughout all the planes of the space, floors, walls, ceilings, and I really appreciated the use of line and color and materiality to again express that aviation theme. It was a design where form and architecture continued to explore what that space could be and how it could be affected. So I think that was probably what was very strong about this project for us.
The next award in commercial interiors is an award of excellence. The project is the National Council for Architectural Registration, NCARB. The architect, OTJ Architects. The client is Doug Morgan.
The NCARB headquarters project received unanimous praise from the jury. It's a beautiful project that exemplifies an exquisitely designed and executed concept. Always in projects, but in particular in interior design projects, there is that tendency to stray from the concept and include elements that maybe are fun and interesting, but that are incongruous with the overall design. That is not the case here. It is evident that the author worked hand in hand with the editor. What you get is a project that is refreshing and balanced, from form making down to the thoughtful detailing. The design team expertly captured the NCAR brand. Well done. Congratulations.
And our final category is commercial architecture. The first award being given in the commercial architecture category is a Jurors Citation. The project is 13th Street Sanctuary. The architect, Studio MB. The client is Outlier Capital.
At 13th Street, we really appreciated as the jury the design team's decisions to allow the raw character of the building to show through in the finished product. We felt it made for a very materially rich and tactile work of architecture, especially when juxtaposed against these more modern elements inserted to satisfy the programmatic requirements for affordable market rate housing in an urban setting.
Our next award in the commercial architecture category is an award of merit. The project is the Washington Fish Market, also by architect Studio MB. The client, Hoffman Madison Waterfront.
This one was one of the projects that we had no problem all agreeing on was an award winner. What was amazing was the wonderful sense of scale, human scale, that came through just even in the photographs. The project was more successful for the spaces in between than necessarily for the buildings themselves. But that's also something that we can give the architect kudos for the restraint that they showed in creating the buildings and the surfaces and the facades that really celebrated the interaction of people and the movement through the space. I think the eclecticism of the architecture at one point was described as carnival-like, but I think what was great is that it set the stage for the markets and the people to really make this an exciting space to be.
Our third award in commercial architecture is an award of excellence. The project is Pier 4, Studio MB as the architect, the client, Hoffman Madison Waterfront.
We found the project at Pier 4 to not only be a compelling design that is both of its time and its place, but also one that shows a way forward in how to design for resiliency in the face of rising sea levels and climate change, and all the while using existing infrastructure to do so. And for all of these reasons and more, we felt that this was worthy of an award of excellence.
As we close, we'd like to congratulate all the winners, and thanks to all of those who submitted projects for consideration in the program. We encourage you to look online on our website to see the winners gallery, which will be posted soon. Thank you for spending time with us and joining in the celebration of architectural excellence. We thank again our sponsors without whom the event would not be possible.